Hi, Michael Casagrande here with Matt Zenitz. We're back at the SEC Media Days, Alabama version. Today was the big day for Alabama. Nick Saban, 3 players. It was the hoopla in the lobby, fans everywhere. But getting to the real business of it, the biggest takeaway, we're going to do the 3 biggest takeaways. The biggest one, the biggest story of the day was Nick Saban talking about the Sugar Bowl. A lot of the headlines were the excuses that he made with the NFL. Underclassmen being distracted. What were your thoughts on that comment?
Obviously, one of the big things he talked about was just the fact that in the week leading up to the bowl game, that the focus, obviously, during the course of that time, from a coach's perspective, he wanted completely on the game, and with the deadline for underclassmen to get feedback from the NFL being December 15th, and then with Alabama then getting feedback December 22nd, Nick had a responsibility and an obligation to get that information to the players, and it kind of took away the focus is what I took away from that in the week leading up to the game. And when players get the projections they do, and they hear that they have the chance to be a first-round pick, that Nick threw out the question whether some players were as focused on the game or more looking ahead, and that potentially could have affected them going into that game, which they obviously lost.
Right. No. Yeah. It was something he's thought out with these kinds of things. It's something that I'm sure he planned that this was going to be kind of the topic that he was going to address, that he was going to try to push for, maybe to institute change. He's got a nation of reporters here, cameras, everything. So it was a pulpit for him to speak his mind. And that topic kind of moves us over to the second area that we're going to talk about today, was related to that Sugar Bowl. Reggie Ragland, talking to him for a few minutes, he was talking about the leadership issues in that game, and sort of towards the end of the season, that was kind of the gist of what Saban said was the chemistry changed in that month between the SEC championship game and the Sugar Bowl, and Ragland was saying that there weren't as good of a leadership at that point, and they didn't walk the walk, they talked the talk. So that was interesting for me to hear someone looking back on the last season and how they perceived that to be at this point. But moving to the next season, which we're right here to talk about, is the quarterback competition, which of always is going to be the elephant in the room, I guess, at this point. Still no answer. Still a lot of the same quotes we heard in the spring about taking the bull by the horn. There's still no leader. What are your takeaways?
Well, Nick was complimentary of Jake Coker, as he has been dating back to the spring, and talked about Jake making tremendous progress, as he put it, and just talked about the progression that he's made from last fall to now. And Jacob, the clear favorite, I would say, going into the fall, even though David Cornwell, it seemed like he did well enough that he closed the gap a little bit and is very much in that competition right now. But as he said, competition is unsettled, while Jacob still seems to be the lead guy, and Nick did have positive things to say about him. Just going back to the first question, in terms of Nick making excuses or however it was perceived, one of the big things that he was emphasizing during the course of that, it was just that the dates should be later to help take away from those distractions going forward. So the dates right now to submit paperwork to the NFL and request that information, December 15th. The deadline then to declare for the draft is January 15th. And Alabama last year, the bowl game, the Sugar Bowl, was January 1st. The national championship was 2 weeks later, which is only a couple of days before the deadline to declare, which is difficult for any player in that situation. So that was one of the big things that he was harping on.
All right, that's it for us from Hoover. Michael and Matt, practice starts in a few weeks. We'll be back to bring you everything once camp starts.